Welcome to the deep dive, and a very warm welcome to all of you tuning in on the One More Stock channel. Today, we're doing something a bit unusual, actually.
A little different from our usual fare.
Exactly. We're pulling back the curtain on a company that, well, hasn't even hit the public markets yet, but believe me, it's making some serious waves.
Seismic waves, you might even say.
Good one. We're diving deep into Anduril Industries. That's a name you're going to want to remember, especially if you're keeping tabs on the future of technology and national security. Now, the insights we're drawing on today come from a really thorough exploration over on the One More Money blog.
Right, a very detailed piece.
Our mission, essentially, is to unpack what makes Anduril such a potent disruptor in the defense world, what its, impending IPO could signify, and why this potential future investment is generating so much buzz.
And it's definitely more than just buzz. I mean, it's a really fascinating look at how innovation is shaking up industries we thought were pretty set in their ways.
Couldn't agree more. Okay, so let's get into it. Anduril Industries. Founded back in 2017, the founder is Palmer Luckey, maybe you remember him, the visionary behind Oculus VR.
All right, the VR guy. Quite a shift into defense.
Isn't it just? And he teamed up with former executives from Palantir. So right there, that lineage. It gives you a clue about their DNA. It's been described pretty aptly, I think, as a kind of defense version of Palantir meets Tesla.
That captures it well. The data analytics side, the AI, the autonomy focus, but aimed squarely at national security.
Yeah, and it's not just talk. CNBC even flagged Anduril as one of the most disruptive companies out there globally.
And what's really striking, I think, is how they disrupt the, let's call it the traditional defense landscape. You think about the legacy players, right? Often seen as slow, kind of tied up in bureaucracy.
Yeah, the usual suspects.
Well, Anduril operates more like a Silicon Valley tech startup, super agile. And they completely flipped the script on the usual model. Instead of waiting for a government contract to fund their R&D.
They just build the stuff first.
Pretty much. They proactively develop solutions, often using their own capital, and then they go to defense agencies with fixed price contracts.
Right.
This isn't just, a minor procedural tweak. It lets them target way higher gross margins. Think 40-50%.
Wow, compared to what? Like 8-10% for the big guys?
Exactly. Like your Lockheeds or Boeings. It fundamentally changes the risk-reward equation. It could potentially open the door for a lot more nimble players in a sector that's been, well, pretty hard to break into.
And their growth trajectory, it's just been, meteoric, hasn't it?
Absolutely staggering.
The company now has, over 3,500 employees? And reported revenues topping $1 billion in 2024. Their total funding raise is over $6 billion now. That includes a huge $2.5 billion Series G round just back in March 2025.
Right, and that pushed the valuation up to $30.5 billion.
But here's the kicker. Some secondary market deals. People trading existing shares. Apparently, they've gone as high as $45 billion.
Which just shows you the incredible investor appetite, the belief in their future potential.
For sure. And Palmer Luckey himself has said quite openly that an IPO isn't an if, but a when. What do you think going public actually does for them, specifically regarding those massive, trillion-dollar defense contracts, the kind the military wants new players involved in?
That's a great point. Going public, well, it brings a whole new level of credibility, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And transparency. Plus, access to much deeper capital pools. It's absolutely essential if you want to bid on contracts of that scale. It's basically their ticket to playing in the big leagues, a strategic necessity.
And that strategy, it's all built on what makes them different, right? Their core differentiators.
Exactly. And what really jumps out, highlighted in that One More Money blog piece, is their commitment to R&D. It's aggressive. They reportedly pour a vast majority of their revenue back into research and development.
Which is just night and day compared to the single-digit percentages you see from traditional defense firms.
Absolutely. And this intense focus, it's not just about dreaming up new gadgets. It allows for incredibly rapid product iteration. They can respond to changing threats much faster.
And you see that payoff in how quickly they deploy capabilities. You know the old joke about government speed?
Yeah.
Well, while the traditional contractors might still be scheduling meetings, Anduril, apparently, has already got products out on the front lines.
Yeah.
And they're updating them remotely with new AI algorithms.
The continuous cycle of improvement. Constant adaptation. That's the Silicon Valley way.
It really is. They're applying, consumer electronics manufacturing principles to defense. Look at their Arsenal One factory in Ohio.
A massive investment, nearly $1 billion planned.
And it's not just a factory, is it? It's designed so they can literally roll aircraft off the line and deploy them directly. straight to the client or even a combat zone.
It kind of echoes those huge World War II aircraft plants aiming for massive scale. Tens of thousands of autonomous systems a year, all driven by software-defined manufacturing.
It's incredibly ambitious. But translating that Silicon Valley speed to the sheer scale and, let's face it, the rigorous demands of global defense contracts, what's the biggest hurdle there, do you think?
That's a really critical question, and we'll definitely circle back to it when we touch on the risks involved. But first, let's actually look at the hardware, the systems Anduril is building. What makes them different?
Right, the actual products.
This brings us to their portfolio. It's cutting-edge stuff, virtual border walls, advanced autonomous systems, air, sea, land, and it's all knitted together by their AI platform, Lattice. If you boil down their strategy, it's about creating this fully integrated, AI-powered system of systems, not just selling individual pieces of kit.
So Lattice is the key.
Lattice is the core. It's their proprietary AI command and control platform. Think of it as the brain, the central nervous system.
Yeah.
It's designed to pull in huge amounts of data, not just from Anduril's own drones or sensors, but from third-party gear, too. Sensors, interceptors, soldiers on the ground, radars, everything.
Okay, so it fuses all that information.
Exactly. Using sophisticated sensor fusion, machine learning, computer vision, it takes all that raw data and creates a single, unified picture of the battlefield. Real-time situational awareness. This lets operators spot threats faster, make decisions quicker, and command those autonomous systems much more effectively. It drastically shrinks that whole observe, orient, decide, act loop, the OD loop.
Cutting down decision time, that's huge in combat.
It's potentially battlefield altering, turning minutes into seconds. And Lattice isn't just theoretical. It's been through multiple combat tests with the U.S. military and allies like Australia and the U.K.
Okay, so that's the brain. The One More Money blog goes into detail on the specific tools built on Lattice. Let's start with the Sky's aerial autonomy. They seem to be really pushing the boundaries here. You've got things like the Bolt and Bolt-M quadcopters, small, lightweight, right, for recon or as loitering munitions.
Deployable by soldiers.
Then there's the Ghost, a bit larger, more capable UAV, but still portable. And it has that US Blue UAS certification, which is important.
Right, cleared for government use.
For defense, they have Anvil, a small interceptor drone that basically flies into aerial threats to take them down. Kinetic impact.
Fast and autonomous. And scaling up from there.
Yeah, things get bigger. The Barracuda cruise missile, capable of carrying, over 100 pounds of payload?
And the claims around its production are pretty bold, like 50% less production time, 95% fewer tools needed, half the parts, 30% cheaper on average.
If they can deliver on that, it's a game changer for missile manufacturing.
Absolutely. Then you have Roadrunner. That's the VTOL vertical takeoff and landing aircraft for air defense.
And the really interesting part there is the reusability, right?
That's the killer app. If it misses its target or isn't needed, it can land itself safely, recovered, refueled, relaunched. Almost zero cost for a missed shot, unlike traditional missiles. Huge cost-saving potential.
And at the top end, the real high-performance stuff is Fury.
Yes, Fury, a fifth-category large UAV.
Category. That puts it in the same league as advanced stealth aircraft, basically.
That's the implication. It's designed for that loyal wingman concept. Human pilots in jets like the F-35, teamed up with autonomous drones.
So one pilot controls multiple platforms, multiplying force without more pilots in danger.
Precisely. It's a major strategic direction for air forces globally. And Fury is Anduril's play in that space. It's highly confidential, obviously, but the potential revenue just from that project could exceed $10 billion.
Okay, let's shift to the ground. There are terrestrial systems. Anduril actually got its first big break with border security, didn't it?
Right, the Sentry Tower.
Exactly. Their AI-powered border surveillance system, deployed initially with U.S. Customs and Border Protection, CBP. It provides 247 automated monitoring using AI. It significantly cuts down the need for human patrols, basically acting as a virtual wall. More effective than just physical barriers in many ways.
And the deployment numbers are significant, over 300 towers along the U.S.-Mexico border by the end of 2024. Beyond just watching, they developed the Menace systems. These are rugged, deployable command and control units. C4 systems, they call them, designed for troops right at the front line, running that Lattice OS brain. They come in different forms, stationary ones, vehicle-mounted, even highly portable backpack versions.
So you can set up an advanced command post almost anywhere.
That's the idea. Anduril is also a key player in the Army's Titan project. They're handling the hardware design and manufacturing for this next-gen mobile ground station for intelligence gathering.
And then there's the project that got a lot of headlines, IVA.
The Integrated Visual Augmentation System. Yes, Anduril officially took that over from Microsoft in 2025.
It's basically like advanced augmented reality goggles for soldiers, right? One of their coolest products, as the blog put it.
It really aims to revolutionize how soldiers perceive the battlefield. Anduril's leading the future development and production. And interestingly, they're collaborating with Meta Palmer Luckey's old stomping ground, combining Meta's AR tech with Anduril's rugged systems.
The goal is to make combat almost like a video game interface, enhancing awareness dramatically.
That's the vision.
Yeah.
And the potential contract value is huge, up to $22 billion.
And they haven't forgotten the sea either. They've got naval and underwater systems too.
Right, applying similar concepts. There's the Seabed Sentry, which is like the Sentry Tower, but for underwater surveillance.
And offensively.
They have Corehead, described as an intelligent torpedo, basically a high-speed autonomous underwater vehicle that can carry different payloads.
And underpinning that is the Dive series.
Yes, the Dive LD, large displacement, and Dive XL, extra large. These are big multifunctional underwater platforms, essentially motherships. They can transport and deploy smaller systems like the Seabed Sentry or Corehead strategically underwater.
So across air, land, and sea, they're building this interconnected web of autonomous systems.
Exactly. And their success keeps leading to more contracts. Yeah. U.S. Special Operations Command, the Air Force, collaborations in Europe with Rheinmetall, plus key allies like Australia and the UK. They're building a broad base.
So if we zoom out a bit, Anduril's rise really signals something bigger, doesn't it? A major shift. You're seeing top tech talent, serious venture capital, flowing into defense in a way we haven't seen for a while.
Palmer Luckey himself is kind of the poster child for that, moving from consumer VR to defense tech.
It really symbolizes, I think, a kind of awakening in Silicon Valley, a shift towards tackling these big national security challenges, using tech power for, well, more serious applications, and their agile model. It has definitely stirred up the old guard, the Lockheeds, the Boeings. They're facing a real challenge from this new way of doing things.
They're not doing it alone either, right? You mentioned Meta, but they're also working with companies like OpenAI. Yeah, they're actively collaborating, integrating cutting-edge AI, AR, VR into defense. It's fostering a whole new tech ecosystem around national security. How do you think the traditional players are going to adapt to this landscape?
That's the billion-dollar question, isn't it? And it brings us neatly to the risks facing Anduril. We need a balanced view here for you, the listener. First off, manufacturing scale. That Arsenal One factory sounds amazing, but actually scaling up production to match the output of established giants and supporting those systems globally, that is a huge hurdle.
Delivering on those timelines, like starting production in July 2026, is critical. Any slips there could be problematic.
Then there's the whole world of policy and governance. Defense contracting demands intense transparency, rigorous financial audits. An IPO might help with some of that, but landing those massive Pentagon deals, it really hinges on Anduril proving they can manage the complex bureaucracy and meet those governance standards.
And remember those high margins they're targeting, 40–50%.
Yeah, that seems ambitious in the defense world.
It is. The government historically gets wary of what it sees as excessive profits, sometimes defining that as anything over, say, 15%. That could definitely create tension down the line as Anduril gets bigger contracts.
And finally, profitability. It's crucial to remember they're not actually profitable yet.
Which is pretty standard for a high-growth tech company investing heavily.
True, but it's still a risk, especially in defense where revenue cycles can be long and uncertain. That very high valuation relative to their current sales, that price-to-sales ratio of around 30.5.
Yeah, that tells you the market is betting heavily on future growth, not current earnings.
Okay, so let's bring it back to the listener. What does this all mean for you, especially if you're watching the investment scene? Let's talk about the Anduril IPO specifically, drawing on the One More Money blog details, timing-wise. Nothing set in stone, of course, but all the signs point towards a public debut sometime in the next, 12 to 24 months.
Yeah, 2026 feels like a strong possibility based on Luckey's comments and the funding trajectory, maybe 2027.
But the key thing for everyone listening right now, Anduril Industries is private. You cannot buy its stock on any public exchange today.
Crucial point. Don't go looking for a ticker symbol just yet.
Their last big funding round, that Series G in March 2025, valued them at $30.5 billion. And we heard about those secondary market deals hinting at even higher values.
It really is super unicorn territory. massive belief in their potential. People are calling them the next Palantir, or maybe some kind of hybrid Lockheed Martin meets Tesla.
And they've got serious backers. Over $6 billion raised from names like Founders Fund, Sands Capital, Bailey Gifford, Fidelity.
Right. So while there's no official IPO filing yet, all the strategic pieces are moving into place. Building Arsenal 1, continued growth. There's clearly gearing up for it. That 2026 or maybe 2027 timeline, it seems the most plausible, but it probably depends on hitting those manufacturing milestones in Ohio and, what the overall IPO market looks like then.
And the speculated valuations at IPO are all over the map, aren't they?
They really are. Anywhere from $40 billion up to, some whispers say, even $90 billion. It's hard to predict. But Anduril's path to IPO, it really marks a huge moment for the defense industry. It's accelerating change, forcing adaptation, bringing that Silicon Valley speed and AI focus right into the heart of national security. But again, that high valuation reflects future hope, not current profit. So for investors, prudence is key.
Definitely need to watch their progress closely.
Especially that manufacturing ramp up at Arsenal 1 and whether they can keep landing those big long-term government contracts. For most people right now, the practical approach is probably just to follow the story, maybe look at indirect exposure through defense or tech ETFs, and understand the unique risks before even thinking about trying to get in pre-IPO, which is tough anyway. And thinking about all this, it really brings up a bigger question for the future, doesn't it? As we see this flood of Silicon Valley innovation pouring into critical national security areas, how does that shift influence the public's whole understanding of defense? And what kind of ethical questions arise when you start applying a consumer electronics mindset and speed to military technology?
That is a powerful thought to chew on. Definitely something to keep exploring and unpacking. Okay, before we wrap up, just a quick reminder for everyone. This deep dive is purely for informational purposes. It is absolutely not investment advice. Please do your own research.
And thank you all for watching. If you find this kind of discussion on U.S. stock investment valuable, please do subscribe to the One More Stock channel. That way you won't miss our future deep dives.
Yeah, and hit that like button if you found this useful. Let us know in the comments too, what do you think about Anduril? Do you see it as a major future player, a potential investment down the road? We'd love to hear your thoughts.
We really would.
We certainly hope this exploration of Anduril Industries has given you a clearer picture of this truly fascinating company and what its future might hold. Thanks for joining us on the deep dive.